one way to ring in the new year. Let's dance, boys!
Hey everyone, I'm here to talk about the Angels in the Bayonetta series, and going over their descriptions to see if I can make any connections. I want to start with a bit of information on the Angels as a whole before I get into specific ones. Unlike the demons of Inferno, the Angels of Paradiso are more structured and follow their hierarchy. While demons are basically in a free-for-all essentially, since no one is over anyone else except Queen Shiva, and the only qualifier for standing is who has more power. This brings me to a very important point I want to make. Light and darkness do not necessarily mean good and evil respectively in this series. Angels and demons are not necessarily one way or the other. For the most part, both the denizens of Inferno and Paradiso are looking out for themselves and will achieve whatever their goals are at any expense. I see them as having a predisposition to being good or evil based on where they come from, but that would only be through our perception as people. For example, an angel like Fortitudo thinks of humans as dispensable and that they're blinded by chaos, while a demon like Phantasmarine is normally good-natured and will give rare treasures. Anyway, enough moral absolutism. The angels are creatures of the light with a shared theme of gold and ivory among them. Most of their skin, at least their faces, appear to be made of stone or marble, and usually their bodies have gold or colorful adornments, but this is all merely an exoskeleton covering a grotesque-looking appearance hidden underneath. The angels' halos have writing on them written in the Bayonetta angelic alphabet. These words include wisdom, complete, saving, light, lead, and hope. It also has this word that I'm sure they meant to put birth, but they wrote this.
B-I-C-T-H.
As for the name, Hierarchy of Laguna, I saw a theory on the Bayonetta subreddit that I agree with and I'll try to add to it. The Japanese word for Laguna is Raguna. The way it's written in Japanese could come from the Japanese word for Ragnarok. Ragnarok comes from Norse mythology. Bayonetta as a series regularly borrows from Norse mythology. Some examples of this, but not limited to, are the names Baldur, Loki, Lopter, and Aesir, to the names of locations like Vigrid, Fimbulventr, and Alfheim. Ragnarok is known as a series of events which includes a great battle that ends in the destruction of the world, which causes the world to be submerged in water. The world will then rise again, cleansed and fertile. This is similar to the goals of the Angels of Paradiso. Funnily, the word Laguna in Norwegian means lagoon, which would be a fun reference to the world being submerged in a body of water. For the rest of the video, I'll be going over angels in order from lowest part of the hierarchy to the highest. There are 3 ranks of regular angels with 3 sub-ranks each. After them is the Auditio and finally the Supreme Dea. The 3 spheres in Bayonetta come from Christian angelology, which comes from the book from Pseudo-Dionysius the Areopagite in the 5th or 6th century named De Coelesti Hierarchia, which means on the celestial hierarchy. Here he described 3 groups of angels separated in spheres, and each sphere containing 3 orders or choirs. The 3rd sphere in Christian angelology has the orders of angels, archangels, and principalities or rulers. Before each of the orders throughout this video, I'll be explaining their roles as it pertains to Christian angelology. As you may notice, some of the angels have descriptions fitting these roles. Angels, specifically guardian angels, are the lowest of the orders in Christian angelology. For the most part, these angels guide, protect, and assist humans or merely watch over them. Non-guardian angels within this order are messengers to humanity and involve themselves in human affairs. Starting off the bottom rank of the 3rd sphere is Affinity. Affinity is a humanoid bird-like angel. The designer of the angels, Yusuke Hashimoto, said the cross between a human and a bird was to facilitate a descent from the heavens. These are the first angels we as Bayonetta fight in the series. Since these are the first angels we face, they serve as a display of the subversion of what you expect an angel to look like and be like. They are slightly monstrous, move erratically, and would definitely scare a regular person. Their face is on the back of their neck. The description goes, servants of heaven that populate the lowest of the angelic hierarchy, a 3rd sphere rung known simply as angels. Humans with deep faith often feel these angels closest to their hearts. Descending from the heavens upon their pure white wings, it is believed that the glimmering halo atop an Affinity's head lights the path for those who have lost their way. The religious articles they equip are all tools used to further their conviction to protect the righteous and can become powerful weapons used to strike down those with sullied hearts. The word affinity means a spontaneous or natural liking or sympathy for someone or something. Affinity is erroneously referred to as an archangel in the hierarchy of Laguna in the first Bayonetta, but this is fixed later in Bayonetta 2. There's a sacrificial ritual in the first Bayonetta where the elites of Vigrid can become affinity. This affinity, known as Affinity C, has super buff legs and no visible wings. The way the mask looks different than the other affinities makes me believe it's actually supposed to be an applaud, but it's counted as an affinity, so that's all on that matter. Next, we have deer and decorations. Deer and decorations are angels that are just heads with wings. Deer is larger and has a long beard, signifying it's portraying an older man, while decoration accompanies deer in groups and have childlike faces. Underneath their faces is an orifice that shoots balls of energy. The description goes, with limited spiritual powers, this angel is spotted comparatively frequently within the physical human world. Deers with their dignified faces are surrounded by the countless childlike faces of their decorations. Capriciously firing arrows, they are often mistaken for Cupid. It is said that one of their arrows shot through the heart of a believer can be as infatuating as the goddess of love. The word deer means to be regarded with deep affection, and decorations are things that serve as ornaments. Cupid is the Roman god of desire, erotic love, attraction, and affection. He is the son of the goddess of love, Venus, and the god of war, Mars. His Greek counterpart is named Eros. Commonly, you hear of Cupid's arrows as magic arrows that inflict love or desire within the person that was struck. But have you heard of the other arrow he has? Cupid carries two types of arrows or darts. One has a sharp golden point that fills a person with uncontrollable desire. The other one has a blunt lead tip that causes aversion and the desire to flee. There's a story where Apollo, the Roman god of archery, among other things, calls Cupid a weaker archer, so Cupid strikes him with a gold arrow and strikes a nymph that Apollo desired named Daphne with a lead arrow, which causes Daphne to pray to her father, the river god Peneus, and she gets turned into a laurel, which is a sacred tree to Apollo. Up next is Enchant. Enchant is a wheel-shaped angel with spokes shaped like legs with high heel shoes. Enchant is able to become engulfed in flames to attack and separate in two to attack with electricity. The description goes, an angel shaped like a cartwheel. The impetus behind this fateful form was the creator's desire to craft an angel designed to compel humanity to continue its struggle and feel no satisfaction at surpassing others. Enchants protect the field of God from human encroachment and are further responsible for passing communications to Paradiso and correcting the trespasses of humanity. The word enchant means to fill someone with great delight or charm someone. Enchant's appearance may be a reference to Ophanim, the wheels in Ezekiel's vision of the chariot of God in Ezekiel 1:15-21, which have become associated with Daniel 7:9 where the wheels are on fire. Enchant is one of the few angels with more traditionally feminine features. Aside from its legs with high heels, it has a feminine face unlike most other angels. It also has a higher pitched laugh that isn't really childlike. Next is Acceptance. Acceptance is a centaur angel with its face on its torso and no head on top of its neck. They are the first angels we fight against in Bayonetta 2. The description goes, among the 9 ranks in the angelic hierarchy, Acceptance belongs to the bottom of the third sphere called Angels, the hierarchy's lowest rank. It appears to those who are moments away from death in a half-human, half-Pegasus form with glittering wings. Characterized as a symbol of death and acceptance, various legends tell of Acceptance solemnly placing the souls of the dead upon its back and carrying them away, ignoring their past deeds and any pleas for a second chance. The word acceptance means agreement with or belief in an idea, opinion, or explanation. One of the best known creatures of Greek mythology, Pegasus, is a winged stallion and was fathered by Poseidon and born of Medusa when she was beheaded by Perseus. Pegasus was the creator of Hippocrene, the fountain on Mount Helicon. Acceptance appearing before someone's death may be a reference to Azrael, the angel of death in some Abrahamic religions where he acts as a psychopomp. A psychopomp is a supernatural being responsible for transporting newly deceased souls to the afterlife. Many different things have been depicted as psychopomps, from angels to horses. In Hebrew, Azrael translates to angel of God or help from God. Next we have Cachet and Compassion. Cachet and Compassion are the new deer decorations. They have the ability to extend blades out from beneath them and attack. The description goes, belonging to the lowest rank of angels, these two angels are said to have been sacred weapons brought to Paradiso after the heroes they traveled with came to the end of a long journey. Charged with protecting the gates of Paradiso, their powerful blades deal swift justice to anyone who carelessly trespasses into the divine realm. The word cachet means the state of being respected or admired, and the word compassion means sympathetic pity and concern for others. This is 100% a stretch, but the heroes that came to an end of a long journey could reference the Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri, where Dante travels through the worlds of Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso, where he travels with Virgil, who acts as his guide through Inferno and most of Purgatorio, until Beatrice takes over as his guide throughout the rest of Purgatorio and Paradiso. Again, this is a super big stretch, it just popped into my head reading the description. Archangels are regarded as the guardians of nations and countries, and they involve themselves with matters and events that correspond to this, from politics to trade. Depending on the branch of Christianity or even religion, you may see people describe different amounts of archangels from 1 to 14. Starting off, the middle rank of the third sphere is Applaud. Applaud is a stronger version of Affinity. They have more stylized masks and nicer, vibrant robes. The description goes, while still a member of the third sphere, Applauds are one step above Affinities, and thus known as Archangels. Occupying the 8th position within the 9-level angelic hierarchy, Archangels are still considered close to the physical world, and often come into contact with humankind. It is said that devoted prayer on the part of believers can call upon a flock of angels to come to one's aid. The word applaud means to show approval or praise by clapping. Despite being a third sphere angel, the render in Bayonetta 2 gives Applaud a second sphere halo. Next, we have Accolade. Accolade is an upgraded acceptance in the same way Applaud is an upgraded affinity. Accolade B and D are tankier versions of Accolade and are really annoying, especially Accolade D. I hate Accolade D. The description goes, a large angel belonging to the third sphere, tasked with commanding the lowest ranking angels. Accolades are adept at using many of Paradiso's weaponry, including swords, spears, hammers, and whips. They use these to instill fear into the hearts of all those who doubt the might of God. Accolades have long lived in legend. At times, they were said to have answered the prayers of the most devout followers by temporarily bestowing upon them one of these divine instruments. The word accolade means an award or privilege granted as an honor or acknowledgement of merit. Funnily, Accolade is not the one with the whip, it's actually Allegiance. Centaurs are mythical creatures with an upper body of a human and a lower body of a horse. They come from Greek mythology and were said to be born of Ixion, the king of Lapith, and Nephele, a cloud nymph. In other stories, the son of Ixion and Nephele, named Centaurus, he mated with Magnesian mares, and that's how that happened. There's other changes and details, but that's all I feel like talking about regarding the origin of centaurs. Up next is Enrapture. Enrapture is a grotesque-looking angel that looks like it's made of two bodies stuck together. The description goes, though 8th in the angelic hierarchy, Enrapture was born many eons ago, and is now considered the oldest angel to have ever existed. Given the task of leading humans to bliss by speaking directly to their spirits, it is said that the concept of faith did not exist until Enrapture's creation. There are many theories debated as to why this angel possesses its strange form of two human bodies seamed at the torso. Perhaps their shape is meant to exceed the bounds of human understanding, or maybe in the depths of meditation, a monk approaching enlightenment caught a glimpse of this angel while its form was refracted between dimensions. The word enrapture means to give intense pleasure or joy to. The description shows that as of now, the angels were created eons ago, which is an indefinite amount of time, but they also don't predate the existence of humans in this universe. This theory is contingent on the point that Enrapture was given its task at its creation and not afterwards. Next is Fidelity. Fidelity is an angel with a bunch of tentacles with claws at the end of each. It has 3 faces on the center of its head, and its tentacles can turn into red light blades that extend. The description goes, considered a creature of the sea due to its fish-like body and multiple tentacle-like arms, Fidelity departed from the ocean to impart humanity with their primeval memories. Those who forget their past and begin to disrupt the serenity of life are often dragged by this angel to the darkest depths of the ocean. The ocean is a sacred place, the area of Earth that is closest to Paradiso, as the intense water pressure of the depths means it has remained untouched by human hands since the beginning of time. A large celestial veil covers the sea's expanse, and until this day, there has never been a human who has witnessed the seas in their entirety. The word fidelity means continued faithfulness to a person, cause, or belief. Fidelity is designed the way it is because of the location of Bayonetta 2. Yusuke Hashimoto wanted to have an aquatic-based angel that would behave differently in and out of water. Principalities or rulers are the angels that protect nations, groups of people, or institutions like the church. They preside over bands of angels and charge them with fulfilling the divine ministry. Some of them administer and other assists. Starting the last and highest rank of the third sphere is Ardor. Ardor are stronger applauds with heavy armor and a strong sword and shield. The description goes, the highest ranking member of the third sphere. Ardor are christened with the rank of principalities. Presiding over the protection of the masses from evil spirits, they are equipped with a shield and armor of proof. Wielding the power of Paradiso on those who encroach upon happiness, Ardor are recipients of much adoration from those seeking salvation. The word ardor means enthusiasm or passion. One could view affinity, applaud, and ardor as symbolism of the orders within the third sphere for the first Bayonetta. Next, here we have Irenic. Irenic is a car-shaped angel. It's a really fun design, especially when you see the halos are on its tires. Its face is the hood ornament of the car. The description goes, if humans were truly able to see angels, they would never expect an angel to appear as an automobile. However, it goes without saying that Irenic has existed since long before even the concept of history. Irenic is charged with spreading the message of divine will across Paradiso, and is most commonly depicted as a boxy form with 4 wheels, capable of achieving great speeds. Faster than even the wind, it can cross Paradiso thousands of times larger than the human world in nary a single day. Irenic is first known to have appeared before humanity in the mid-18th century, coinciding with the start of the Industrial Revolution and the development of the first steam-powered automobiles. The word Irenic means aiming or aimed at peace, but it can also mean a part of Christian theology concerned with reconciling different denominations and sects. Despite being a third sphere, the halos on the tires are first sphere halos. Irenic spreading messages all over Paradiso at fast speeds could reference Hermes, the herald of the gods and the Greek god of speed. Speaking of Greek gods, the word Irenic comes from the Greek goddess of peace, Irene. The start of the Industrial Revolution did start in the mid-18th century and lasted to the 1820s to 1840s. It began in Great Britain. Irenic would still probably look to advance for the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, however. I'm not a car guy, but Irenic kinda reminds me of this car I saw on Wikipedia, which is a 1949 Buick Super Sedanette. Finally, we have Allegiance. Allegiance is a stronger version of Accolade who wields a whip-like sword. Its shield can turn into wing-shaped pieces it can use as attacks. The description goes, Allegiance belongs to the Principalities ranked 7th in the angelic hierarchy and part of the third sphere. While third sphere angels are the most common type encountered in the physical realm, Allegiance, clad in solid gold armor, appears only during times of strife between Paradiso and the human world, in order to purge the armies of evil spirits. Legends exist of Allegiance appearing before the kings of feudal nations who have prayed for the emergence of a hero. However, there are also stories of Allegiance seeing through the evil in these kings' hearts, and instantly reducing their thrones to rubble. The word allegiance means loyalty or commitment to a superior group or cause. Just like I mentioned with Ardor, acceptance, accolade, and allegiance can be symbolism for the different orders in the third sphere, this time for Bayonetta 2. Coincidentally, all 6 of their names start with an A. The second sphere has the subcategories of powers or authorities, virtues, and dominations or dominions. Powers or authorities have the power to prevent evil forces from doing harm. Their primary duty is to supervise the movements of the heavenly bodies to ensure the cosmos remain in order. Starting off, the lowest rank of the second sphere is Beloved. Beloved is a large angel that commonly wields a battle axe. They can grow to enormous sizes. One of them is armored and colored darker than the other Beloveds, and it wields a bazooka. When Beloved roars, its mouth is visible underneath its face. The description goes, Beloved is a member of the second sphere class powers, ranked 6th in the angelic hierarchy. Its status is more that of a spiritual being, but it is also burdened with destroying the enemies of Paradiso. While still considered amongst the lower classes of angels, Beloved's power is of a far higher order than that of a human, and even those with strong spiritual powers are seldom afforded the chance to meet this being. Excelling in combat, Beloved are known for brilliant exploits in demonic battles. The word Beloved means dearly loved. The first Bayonetta shows Beloveds are capable of appearing in different sizes, sometimes bigger than even higher ranking members of the Laguna. Beloved D, the Dark Beloved from Chapter 14, Isla del Sol, is a reference to the enemy from Space Harrier named Dom. Space Harrier was released in 1985 and developed by Sega. Hideki Kamiya said that Space Harrier is one of his favorite games, and it's been said that it was an inspiration for him to enter the gaming industry. Dom itself is a reference to the Gundam anime. That section in Chapter 14 is a reference to Space Harrier from the music, gameplay, and Bayonetta's quip before she starts the first verse.
Welcome to my fantasy zone. Get ready.
Welcome to the fantasy zone. Get ready.
Here we have Kinship. Kinship is an angel shaped like a ship. It shoots out little missiles with third sphere halos. The description goes, Kinship, as one of the second sphere powers charged with defeating evil beings, is responsible for transporting the forces of Paradiso onto the battlefield. Leading countless angels to the front lines, catching sight of Kinship's magnificent flying appearance is analogous to many as the arrival of true happiness. It is thought that Kinship is the angelic manifestation of the ark that saved the foolish human race from the devastating flood described in the Book of Creation within the scriptures of Ithaval. The word kinship means a blood relationship or a sharing of characteristics or origins. The ship that kinship resembles is called a galley. Galleys were the warships used by early Mediterranean naval powers. It originated amongst seafaring civilizations around the Mediterranean Sea in late 2nd millennium BC. The reference to an ark that saved humans from a flood is a very clear reference to Noah's Ark and the flood of the Book of Genesis. Now, I'm sure Pokemon fans read the sentence before the last sentence and thought what I thought, so I looked into that legend. It is said about the Pokemon Ho-Oh that catching sight of it will grant eternal happiness. The Huma bird is a mythical bird of Iranian legend. It is said that catching a glimpse of it or even its shadow will make one happy for the rest of their life. Up next is Belief. Belief is a top-heavy angel with a long whip-like tentacle on the right side of its body. It has a face with a little face on its forehead on the left side of its body. The description goes, belonging to the second sphere, beliefs are considered a power, the 6th rank of the angelic hierarchy. Their sturdy dominating size makes them an ideal candidate for giving orders on the front lines during wars with Inferno. The gigantic snake-like right arm of beliefs has caused them to often be depicted in legends as hideous creatures, but in reality, this feature is meant to be a divine whip for binding evil with its unwavering faith. The word belief means trust, faith, or confidence in someone or something. Yusuke Hashimoto designed belief to be purposefully asymmetrical so it would be easier to understand how the angel attacks. Next, we have Worship. Worship is another angel that looks like a ship, but this time it's more like an airship rather than a floating ocean ship. The description goes, rank 6th in the angelic hierarchy, Worship is a second sphere power with the body of a giant warship. In contrast to Kinship, a power used for transporting angelic armies across the battlefield, Worship uses the divine power of God to decimate his enemies. Worship's entrance into the fray is a sign that the battle is reaching its climax. Past followers of Laguna believed to sacrifice their souls and become part of the ship was to receive the highest form of bliss. The word worship means the feeling or expression of reverence and adoration for a deity. Worship looks like a super decadent looking airship. To illustrate what I mean, this is the Detroit ZMC-2, or Zeppelin Metalclad 20,000. Imagine this with a bunch of gold adornments and stuff. That's how I viewed it anyway. Virtues are known for their control over the elements. They also assist with miracles and strengthening faith in God. To start the middle rank of the second sphere, we have Fairness. Fairness is an angelic beast that has fire powers. It charges up Bayonetta to grab her in its jaws and slams her down. It can shoot a blast of lava. It can also roar to cause Bayonetta to be stunned. Its halos are around its legs and its tail. The description goes, A virtue charged with the administration of miracles, it is wrapped in flames when appearing in the physical world, a power emblematic of its courage. A torrent of flame blazing as bright as the sun, these flames become the light that burns away darkness from those who receive the graces of fairness. However, for those out of the angels' good graces, they are the fire and brimstone of destruction. The word fairness means impartial and just treatment or behavior without favoritism or discrimination. Fairness and its electric counterpart Fearless resemble a griffin. Griffins are legendary creatures with the body of a lion and the head and wings of an eagle. Back in before 3000 BC, griffin-like hybrid creatures have been seen in ancient Egyptian art. Next, we have both Grace and Glory. Grace and Glory are twin-clawed angels that wield fire and electricity respectively. They have white masks and their halos are also around their ankles as well as above their heads. The description goes, Grace, draped in flame, and Glory, controller of lightning, are the twin escorts of the Creator. They share a wild disposition and are often depicted as gods of war, heroically leading the soldiers of Paradiso into battle with their giant claw-like weapons being symbols of their ferocity. Humanity recognizes the increased spiritual power of twins, a power that comes from the blessings of Grace and Glory. The word grace means the free and unmerited favor of God, and the word glory means the splendor and bliss of heaven. Completely unrelated, but Grace and Glory is the name of a song on the Jet Set Radio soundtrack. The song features these kind of eerie vocalizations that kind of fit the underlying tone of the angels in this series. Jet Set Radio is another series developed by Sega. Here we have Urbane. Urbane is a fire-based angel with chain maces for arms. Its face is really small and on the center of its chest. The description goes, the changes of a new era will always give birth to new angels. This is because angels are given form by the fears, doubts, and prayers mankind bases its faith on, feelings which change with mankind's material obsessions. As a notably advanced being, even compared to other angels, Urbane, a virtue in the angelic hierarchy, is said to be shaped by the subconscious fears of humans. In modern eras, he often appears as a giant with a ball and chain on each of his arms. Urbane's power to reduce the triumphs of civilizations to mere ashes with a single swing of his arm most likely reflects the subconscious fears man harbors towards both the natural world and their own society. The word urbane means courteous and refined in manner. The description for urbane shows that aside from prayers, angels can be formed with fear and doubt, similarly to demons. This shows how the trinity of realities influence each other and are truly parallels. Yusuke Hashimoto wanted Urbane and Gravitas, by extension, to convey two primary things with its design, that it's powerful and that it has an elemental attribute. Dominions or dominations regulate the duties of the angels lower than them, given to them from the angels of the first sphere. To begin the highest of the second sphere, we have Fearless. Fearless is another beast angel that resembles a griffin. Its halos are also around its feet and around the end of its tail. It uses its long tail to attack Bayonetta and it shoots a beam of electricity from its mouth. The description goes, Fearless are classified as dominions, the fourth rank amongst the hierarchy of angels, controlling the lightning feared by many as the instrument of divine justice. Fearless make known the majesty of God to the masses. Almost all the naturally occurring lightning in the world is a result of the actions of these angels. It is said that divine wrath against gluttons is released in the lightning's flash, as the thunder signals heaven's roar. The word fearless means lacking fear. Natural lightning that strikes the ground is caused when negative charges at the bottom of clouds are attracted to the positive charges on the ground. There are quite a few things in the first Bayonetta that have fire and electricity parallels. Fairness and Fearless, Grace and Glory, Gracious and Glorious, and Durga and Kali. Next we have Harmony. Harmony is an angel with fin-like wings, and underneath those are insect-like wings that remind me of the wings on Kafka. The description goes, within the second sphere dominions, whose name imparts feelings of control, sovereignty, and governance, the angels named Harmony stand as a special symbol of peace. When appearing in our world, it is said that humans experience their presence as an aura-esque light. However, when viewed from Purgatorio, one would see Harmony embracing humans within their outstretched fin-like wings. Often pictured holding a trident and floating through the skies, Harmony are tasked with defense of the heavens, even within Paradiso itself. The word harmony means an arrangement of the four Gospels into a single continuous narrative text. Auroras, also known as the polar lights, are a result of a disturbance in the magnetosphere caused by solar winds. Harmony kinda resembles a manta ray. Manta rays are large rays under the genus Mobula. There are 2 alive species of manta rays, and they are both under the threatened conservation status. The giant oceanic manta ray, or the Mobula birostrus, is the largest ray in the world. Tridents are 3-pronged spears. It is used for spearfishing and historically as a pole weapon. Tridents are usually associated with sea deities such as Poseidon, Amphitrite, or Triton. Finally, we have Gravitas. Gravitas is the ice version of Urbane. Just like Urbane, its halo is where its head would be, while its face is in the center of its chest. The description goes, a dominion in the second sphere of angels. The name Gravitas means stern and severe, so this angel is often depicted as steep, uninhabited mountains forever frozen in ice. His extreme cold has been unpenetrated for eons, and it shows no change through the passage of time. Gravitas awaits silently for an opponent willing to sacrifice everything to face him. The word gravitas means dignity, seriousness, or solemnity of manner. Similarly to the first Bayonetta, Bayonetta 2 has a couple of fire and ice parallels instead of fire and electric. For example, Urbane and Gravitas, both sides of Greed, and Undyne and Rusalka. The first sphere has the subcategories of Thrones, Cherubim, and Seraphim. Up until this point, angels before this sphere were depicted as human-looking, but now we're getting into that biblically accurate angel appearance. Thrones are sometimes equated with Ophanim since they are both described as wheels. Christian theologians describe them as elders who represent the prayers from humans and listen to the will of God. Ophanim are angels that have multiple wheel rims and eyes all along them. They're also on fire. To begin the lowest of the first sphere, we have Inspired. Inspired is a draconic snake angel. It spits balls of fire and can use their bodies to attack. The description goes, Inspired are members of the angelic first sphere, in the rank known as Thrones. Those in this class are spiritual beings of the highest order, never meeting directly with humanity. Works of art have depicted them as flaming wheels. However, artists of true inspiration have pictured Inspired as a long, snake-like body circling upon itself. It is often thought that Inspired act as a wheel, holding up the chariot of the beloved God. In truth, Inspired are actually fighting alongside their angelic cohorts, randomly swallowing up the followers of darkness. The word inspired means to be of extraordinary quality. Also, it means to be filled with an urge to do or feel something. During the missile writing part of Chapter 14, there are 3 inspireds that appear green or jade. This is likely a reference to Squilla and Gadarni, which are green dragon bosses in Space Harrier at the end of Stage 1 and 3 respectively. There are 3 inspireds, one for each of the heads. Next we have Resplendence. Resplendence is a giant angelic airship that Bayonetta never fights directly. It is probably the biggest angel in the hierarchy of Laguna. Its halo is supposed to be on top of it, but the model gallery doesn't show this. The description goes, forged by divine hands using the brilliance of the sun itself, Resplendence resides in the first sphere class Thrones ranked 3rd in the angelic hierarchy. Resplendence radiant form can overturn the laws of nature, turning night to day as it simply peers over the horizon. Among those who gaze into its luminous presence, the pious sweep and bow before it while it sears the eyes of those who lack faith, throwing them to the ground in submission. The word resplendence means a very bright and beautiful appearance. Despite never being fought directly, the concept art shows it with battle damage, or at least what the insides would look like, which may imply it was meant to have been fought at some point in development. Cherubim are the guards of the way to the Tree of Life in the Garden of Eden and the Throne of God. Cherubim are described to have 4 faces, a man, an ox, a lion, and an eagle. They also have 4 wings with straight legs with the soles of their feet resembling hooves of a bull. Later in history, cherubim have become associated with putti. Putti are figures in art that are depicted as chubby male children. This is why when you think of a cherub, you probably think of an angel baby. Starting the middle of the first sphere are Braves. Braves are second sphere powers angels. They can fuse together into a first sphere cherubim angel. They attack in a similar manner to Beloved, just faster. The description goes, It can be said that Braves are capable of carrying God upon their shoulders. Moving in groups of 3, each Brave wears the halo of the second sphere powers upon its head. However, when necessary, Braves can combine 3 of their bodies into one true form, a first sphere Cherubim. Boasting the most brute strength of all the inhabitants of Paradiso, an unknown number of evils have faced judgment at the hands of Braves. The word brave means to be ready to face danger or pain or showing courage. The poses the Braves do before they fuse are references to the Ginyu Force from Dragon Ball Z. Next is Valiance. Valiance is a tall knight angel who carries a sword with his face embedded onto the hilt. The description goes, Valiance is a first sphere cherub considered particularly ascendant as a spiritual being, even among the other angels. Physical shape means little to angels of this rank. They exist in a metaphysical form that demonstrates the majesty of God. The most ambitious and brave of the cherubim, there are some sources that believe Valiance first arrived on Earth thousands of years ago, riding a comet of God's wrath that destroyed everything in its way. Valiance's sword, the Valiantium blade, is said to have the power to cut in two anything in Paradiso or Inferno, and is prophesied to one day assist a team of over 100 heroes in saving humanity from an invading evil. The word Valiance means valor. According to Yusuke Hashimoto, the sword is Valiance's real body, with the body being controlled by the sword. He wanted Valiance to give a powerful, solemn, and sacred energy, but also be an idiot. This would mean Valiance himself has no halo technically, but he's always with his body, so it doesn't really matter. In addition to this, his concept art and in-game model show he's more mechanical than organic, and this is shown when he receives enough battle damage. The bit about Valiance coming to Earth on a comet could reference Revelation 8:10-11, where an angel sounded his trumpet and a great star named Wormwood fell from the sky and basically poisoned a third of the water on Earth, killing a lot of people. The name of the sword, the Valiantium blade, and the team of over 100 heroes is a reference to the Wonderful 101. The Valiantium blade is wielded by a hero named Wonder Blue. The voice actor for Valiance, Fred Tatasciore, also appears in the Wonderful 101, but not as Wonder Blue. Here we have Valor. Valor is a more decked out Valiant since he wields a sword and shield. He also has armor and the cape. The description goes, as his name would imply, Valor is a warrior that regards bravery in the highest degree. Taking the form of a shield, he stands with Valiance at the front lines of Paradiso's wars against Inferno. It is said that when the people are in need, a warrior clad in solid gold armor will appear to rescue them, carrying a sword and shield of incredible power. While fending off incoming evils with the shield, the warrior will eliminate its enemy with a single blow of its sword, claiming victory for those with a strong-held faith. The word Valor means valiance. Valor has a long extending gold sword and a powerful shield he uses like a chakram. Chakrams are throwing weapons that originate in the Indian subcontinent. Another thing is that gold armor is not a very good armor. Gold is a really heavy metal and it's soft in comparison to stronger metals like steel. Not to mention for humans, it would be very expensive and not very worth it. Speaking of armor, Valor and Valiance appear to be parallels of different armor types, with Valor representing European armor and Valiance representing Japanese armor. Valor has a similar mechanical theme underneath its main face the same way Valiance does. Seraphim are the highest rank in Christian angelology. They have 6 wings. They use a pair each to cover their faces, cover their feet, and to fly. These angels have also been interpreted as dragons. Their role is to worship God and are beside his throne as guards. Starting off, the top rank of the first sphere are Gracious and Glorious. Gracious and Glorious are maskless upgrades to Grace and Glory. They are white and black instead of red and blue, and you can't activate Witch Time against them normally. The description goes, within the 9 ranks of the angelic hierarchy, the highest ranking Seraphim are charged with governing the love and zeal for the Creator. The pure white armored Gracious and the black armor clad Glorious are often sighted in pairs. However, their existence itself remains legend, subject to rumors of varied veracity. Supposedly gifted with incredible godlike powers, there are no records of Gracious or Glorious appearing on the battlefield of evil. However, it is said this is because a mere taste of their power is enough to destroy the world, devastating all in its path, both the record and the record keeper. The word gracious means to show divine grace, and the word glorious means to be deserving of admiration, praise, and honor. Gracious and glorious invert the elements of grace and glory. Grace and glorious are fire-based, and glory and gracious are lightning-based. Despite being first spheres, their halos are second sphere halos, just like their weaker counterparts. They also don't have an introduction like all the other angels do in the first Bayonetta. Next is Joy. Joy is a shape-shifting angel that for the purposes of gameplay is a copy fighter of Bayonetta. The description goes, Joys are members of the Seraphim class within the angelic hierarchy's first sphere. These beings have broken free of any physical conception of form and have become truly spiritual. Their body is as free as a flowing river, and it takes shape only on a temporary basis. Joy may take the shape of the human feminine form, but the Seraphim can also shapeshift or even separate into multiple sentient forms at will. The word joy means a feeling of great pleasure and happiness. The entry in the hierarchy of Laguna shows 3 joys posed in a way that spells out joy. Joys are reminiscent of plasmas from Devil May Cry, at least their human forms. Joy could also be a reference to Doppelganger from Devil May Cry 3, or so I'm told. I still haven't played this series, but I do plan to at some point. I just don't know when. It really is a shame that Joy never came back. A user on the Bayonetta wiki mentioned that we should be able to see the models in the gallery when the angels take battle damage, and it surprises me how we don't. We really should. And finally we have Glamour. Glamour is a dragon angel with sharp claw-like nails and is adorned with halo-like rings throughout its body. It also has a mechanical-looking mouth, but underneath it's organic, so it isn't like Valiance or Valor. The description goes, Glamour as a first sphere seraph rests at the highest rank in the angelic hierarchy. Seraphim are the closest beings to God in existence and cannot be seen by humans in the physical world under any circumstances. Yet, since the dawn of history, there have been discoveries of statues depicting a 6-winged snake traversing the heavens. Most likely these have some connection with the Book of Revelation, written by a Lumen sage and found in the scriptures of Ithaval. Of course this means there must have been a sage capable of connecting to Paradiso and conversing with Glamour through spiritual means. The word glamour means an attractive or exciting quality that makes certain people or things seem appealing. Glamour's voice is provided by Terra Platt. This is the only angel to receive a voice credit within the game attached to a female voice actor. Just like Inspired, but more fitting since it's within the right category, Glamour fits the description of a seraph, a serpent-like dragon in early Judeo-Christian interpretations. The comparison is more obvious when you read the 6 wings mentioned in Glamour's entry. Yusuke Hashimoto wanted to make Glamour distinct from Fortitudo since they're both dragon angels in his eyes, which is why Glamour looks and behaves differently. Well, now we got through all the orders of angels that relate to Christian angelology. I try to avoid connecting specific angels to specific orders, which is why I describe the spheres and orders first, before getting into the specific angels the game puts them under. Anyway, before we get into the Auditio and Dea ranks, I would like to talk about Golem briefly. I've mentioned before that Golem was created by the Lumen Sages and Umbra Witches after being inspired by the original created by Aesir. Golems were created to be a weapon able to act as guardians for whatever they are assigned to guard. The description in Bayonetta 2 mentions that Golem switches to an appropriate battle form to deal with the disposal of the threat. This might be why the Golem from Bayonetta 1 transforms into forms that resemble Bayonetta's infernal demons. All of the Golem's forms in Bayonetta 1 have a different underlying color. Dragon is blue, Arm is green, Crow is yellow, Centipede is pink, and Spider is purple. Golem's forms in Bayonetta 2 are all uniform in color, and there are only 4 forms we fight, including its initial form, but it does have another form where it's an abstract jumbled mess chasing us. Golems are animated anthropomorphic beings in Jewish folklore. They are created using inanimate matter such as clay or mud. In many depictions of golems, they are shown to be obedient to a fault. This is referenced in the description in the first Bayonetta where it says that the golem is still under the orders of its masters, despite them not existing anymore. In the first Bayonetta, Golem was said to be secreted away to another dimension, and at the time of that, it is assumed that the dimension was Paradiso, but they were also sent to another location, the secluded island of Thule. Golem is an occult device and not actually under the hierarchy of Laguna. It is only featured within the book because that's where enemies of the game are listed under in the first Bayonetta. It is the same reason that Jean and Baldur are there too. Did you know that Labolas in Tag Climax uses the same moves Golem from Bayonetta 2 uses when it's in the Beast configuration? The Auditio, also known as the Cardinal Virtues or the Divine Will, are the second highest rank in the hierarchy of Laguna. The word Auditio is Latin and it means a listening or hearing. It could also mean a lesson, instruction, or lecture. In classical philosophy and Christian theology, there are 4 cardinal virtues: courage, temperance, justice, and prudence. In the Divine Comedy, the 4 cardinal virtues are featured within the 9 spheres of Paradiso, with positive examples of the virtues in the 4th to 7th spheres. The 4th sphere represents prudence, the 5th sphere represents fortitude, the 6th sphere represents justice, and the 7th sphere represents temperance. In the Jewish angelic hierarchy, there is a class named Malachim, where there are the 4 archangels, Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, and Uriel. The Bringer of Flame. Fortitudo is the first of the Auditio we face. His face is upside down and on his torso, and he takes a form of a 2-headed dragon. He represents the element of fire. The description goes, amongst the spiritually powerful of the Middle Ages, it was thought Paradiso held for all a divine will, and as a result they developed heavenly logic. The concept of the cardinal virtues was born of this logic and classifies Paradiso's divine will into 4 broad groups. These cardinal virtues occasionally became physical manifestations of the great intentions of Paradiso, and are known as the Laguna, inspiring awe in the masses. Personifying courage and fortitude, Fortitudo has been depicted as a terrifying being sporting an enormous face and 2 dragon's heads. He is said to be capable of summoning magma flows at will. Fortitudo in Latin means courage, bravery, and fortitude. In the Jewish angelic hierarchy, the Archangel Michael is positioned south of the throne of God. The direction south is associated with fire. Bayonetta's quip towards Fortitudo comes from Devil May Cry when Dante says it to Griffin.
Block off, Featherface!
Baldur can summon Fortitudo with feathers as a conduit using
Ziraka!
which means Aquarius. The Manipulator of Wind. Temperantia is a large angel that appears to be the most humanoid of the Auditio. The description goes, Temperantia, the true embodiment of the cardinal virtue of temperance, is often illustrated as an epic giant. Its body rising like a castle, Temperantia possesses 2 tree-like arms, a composed figure said to illustrate the total reverence in which the Laguna are held by the faithful. When the true power of the virtue of temperance is laid upon our world, it is said to come as a tornado, capable of swallowing an entire country. Humans are helpless to guess at the impetus behind divine will, whether it be anger or happiness, and are left only with prayers and promises of personal temperance if only the heavens should make the storm subside. The word temperantia in Latin means moderation, sobriety, and temperance. Tornadoes are violently rotating columns of air that is made from contact with both the surface of the earth and a cumulonimbus cloud. In the Jewish angelic hierarchy, the Archangel Gabriel is positioned east of the throne of God. The direction east is associated with air. On the rings that bind Temperantia's arms to his body, heaven is written in the Bayonetta angelic alphabet. Baldur can summon Temperantia using
Who no null!
which means Leo. The Giver of Life. Iustitia is what appears to be a ball of light with a bunch of plant-like tentacles growing out of it. It also has faces growing out of its mouths. The description goes, within Paradiso's divine will, also known as the cardinal virtues, Iustitia or justice is known to take a particularly strange physical manifestation, a large mask covered with numerous faces and extending outwards via countless tentacles. Iustitia could easily pass for a demon. This may be due to the fact that those depicting the angel are filled beyond comprehension with awe at the sheer difficulty of encouraging justice in the world. Among Paradiso's divine will, there are those who believe that Iustitia is the closest of the cardinal virtues to hell. Justice is said to be based upon rules established by man to be followed by man, and changing one's viewpoint can lead to a change in what is evil. This uncertainty may be a manifestation of the existing folklore and depictions of Iustitia. The word Iustitia in Latin means equity, fairness, and justice. In the Jewish angelic hierarchy, the Archangel Uriel is positioned north of the throne of God. The direction north is associated with earth. If you pay attention to the 3 childlike heads that come out of Iustitia's mouths, they each have a different expression. One is happy, one is sad, and one is angry. This line from Bayonetta,
Tentacles? Why did it have to be tentacles?
is a reference to Indiana Jones. Iustitia has an unused seed form shown in the early concept art. While he doesn't have a seed form, it seems like the appearance was just reworked into being the ends of his tentacles and to be used as projectiles to shoot. Iustitia is the only member of the Auditio that Baldur doesn't summon in Bayonetta 2. The Controller of Seas. Sapientia is a giant lizard-like angel fused with the machine. The description goes, artists have often depicted the cardinal virtue of prudence, Sapientia, as a marine animal roaming the depths of the sea. This is likely due to the human disposition to characterize the sea as a source of all life, a veritable fountain of prudence and wisdom. It is also thought that Sapientia is responsible for the rise and fall of the tides, and natural phenomena such as tsunamis. The grand idea that the living seas could be nothing other than divine will at work is actually evidence of Sapientia's narcissism, even amongst the other cardinal virtues. When a man born as a slave led his people to freedom from ruling oppression, it is said that it was only Sapientia's favor that parted the seas and allowed for their escape. The word Sapientia in Latin means, yep, you guessed it, wisdom. The Latin word for prudence is actually prudentia. Sapientia, or wisdom, sometimes replaces prudence as a cardinal virtue. Tsunamis are a series of waves caused by the displacement of a large volume of water. It can be caused by something able to cause a great disturbance, such as earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, meteorite impacts, etc. It is often referred to as a tidal wave due to the appearance of it resembling a rapid rising tide, but this term is not favored by the scientific community. Tides are the rise and fall of sea levels caused by the effects of gravitational forces exerted by the moon and the sun. It is also caused by the Earth and the moon orbiting one another. The man born as a slave referenced in the description is Moses. Moses is an important prophet in Abrahamic religions and was born as an Israelite, but cast into the Nile to be protected from the Egyptian rule to kill the newborn Hebrew boys. Moses led the exodus of Israelites out of Egypt and across the Red Sea. The narrative goes, Moses, at God's command, was able to split the Red Sea and allow passage for the Israelites. In the Jewish angelic hierarchy, the Archangel Raphael is positioned west of the throne of God. The direction west is associated with water. Sapientia has a lot of writing on him in the angelic alphabet. On the rotating screws on Sapientia's legs and under its head is written Caution. Caution is also written under the triangles on his legs. Each of Sapientia's legs have System E written on it. The individual legs also have a number and some writing. Note that I did my best trying to translate these letters, and I'm really sorry if they're not correct. The texture for Sapientia's letters are designed to be a little worn out, so that's why I had some trouble. Here's the writing on leg number 1, which is his front left leg. Next generation lasers cut through to the core of reality. Here's the writing on leg number 2, which is the front right leg. High fidelity 8-bit missiles devastate the senses. Here's the writing on leg number 3, which is his back left leg. Multiple angelic processors power advanced battle AI. Here's the writing on leg number 4, which is his back right leg. Rear launcher mines provide a true surround experience. On the head, there is prototype Angel Sapientia, SG-1 bunch of zeros. System E is a reference to the arcade platform produced by Sega between 1985 and 1988. The SG-1 bunch of zeros is a reference to the SG-1000, the first of Sega's home consoles. Camille wanted the number to represent a theoretical successor to it. Baldur can summon Sapientia using
Belison!
which means pleasant deliverer. The Sequi are lesser beings of the Auditio. They are named Courage, Temperance, Justice, and Prudence. They don't have any descriptions or entry in the hierarchy of Laguna. In the book Eyes of Bayonetta, we see them referred to as Sequi in their official renders. They are smaller, weaker versions of their respective cardinal virtue. A lot of the color accents on the main Auditio are colored green for the Sequi. The word Sequi is the present active infinitive form of the Latin word sequor, which means to follow or to succeed. Because of the definition of the word sequor and that the halos used by the Sequi are the same halos of the Auditio, I believe that the Sequi are made to grow into the new cardinal virtues once they are defeated or die. This could be why we fight them only after we have defeated the main Auditio in the story. This would also explain how the cardinal virtues return in Bayonetta 2 to be summoned by Baldur. We arrive at the final order of the hierarchy of Laguna, Dea. The word Dea is Latin for goddess. Before we get to the creator, I have to mention the only other angel to be at the same level as the creator, Father Rodin, the Infinite One. I've talked about Rodin a lot before in other videos, so I'll just try to say something new. Rodin is the most powerful character in the Bayonetta series. At least that's what Platinum Games says. Whether that means of the main cast or the most powerful being in all three realities is not clear, but he's exceptionally powerful, so I would not be surprised. I would really like to see a spin-off on his origins or what he does on the day-to-day outside of the bar. He's just so fascinating, and I wish we could see more of him. Finally, we have Jubileus the Creator. Jubileus the Creator is the absolute top of the hierarchy of Laguna. She is the embodiment of divine will. She has the personality of a self-absorbed teenager. The description goes, the true name of Jubileus, as recorded in myth, is actually constructed from unutterable syllables. This is because humans remain incapable of capturing her true glory, as she is the total embodiment of divine will. Humanity bound to the physical world was forced to depict and describe her in its own tongue. It is supposed that humanity selected the name Jubileus, taken from the word jubilee, meaning celebration or rejoicing, in an attempt to turn divine will into worldly happiness via repeated recital of her name. As a result of the cataclysmic events of the ancient First Armageddon, of which she sat at the very apex, Jubileus was forced into dominion over the world of Paradiso, governor of the light amongst the trinity of realities, and put into an endless slumber. It was from this point that the forces of light and dark began their endless battle for hegemony. The resurrection of Jubileus will trigger a reunification of the Trinity of Realities, fulfilling the desires of not only the forces of light, but also a centuries-old prayer said by those seeking divine intervention. The word Jubilee means a special anniversary of an event. In Jewish history, it means a year of emancipation and restoration. It is likely that Jubileus is the oldest character in the entirety of the Bayonetta universe that we know of. Jubileus existed during the time of the First Armageddon, where she was at the apex. This means she's always existed before the Trinity of Realities, making her predate Queen Sheba's and Aesir's existence. Queen Sheba and Aesir came to be after their respective realities were created. The angels are trying to awaken her from her slumber using the eyes of the world to reunify the Trinity back to the state that existed before the First Armageddon. When she was awakened by Baldur, she was not at full power since Jean was able to remove Bayonetta from her left eye. Despite this, she is huge and powerful. When the bosses in the first Bayonetta get defeated, they all say, "May Jubileus the Creator grace you." For Jubileus to grace would mean to destroy. You can reach this conclusion when Baldur says, "May Jubileus the Creator grace all of its creations after he believed he's one." His goal was reunifying the Trinities, which would mean destroying everything in order to do that. So it's essentially a final curse upon Bayonetta. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned how the halos of the angels have writing on them. The writing on the Dea halo for Rodin and Jubileus have different words, and it's just Alpha and Omega written over and over. A lot is still unclear about Jubileus. If her soul is trapped in the sun, how does Omni exist? And that leads into a different question, which is what even is Omni? Assuming she was sent back to Paradiso in an eternal slumber again, what will the angels do without the eyes of the world now that they are destroyed? Is there another way to revive Jubileus? I really would like to know more about Paradiso and the time during the First Armageddon, but that unfortunately will have to wait.
You didn't think I'd miss a good fight, did you?
I hope you all enjoyed my dive into the Angels of Paradiso. This was quite the task to tackle considering the length. I appreciate all the support I've received and everyone's contributions and theories that they've sent and commented. I hope everyone is having a fantastic new year so far, and hopefully it gets better for all of us. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. And I have one last thing to say. May Jubileus the Creator grace you.